Hey, everybody. Oh, that shirt is kind of funny. I hope it doesn't look that bad on there. Hey, great to be together. Let's do the pledge. I keep getting yelled at. I forgot the pledge yesterday, so let me get to the pledge here. Thank you to my technical team for doing that. Good morning. Good morning, wherever you are. By the way, that eagle right there, that's the Phyllis Schlafly eagle, designed and created by Phyllis Schlafly. We love that eagle. It's up there in the corner for a reason. Let me see here. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. Join me if you will. I encourage you to stand if you're in a position to. If you're working at your cubicle or you're in a place, if you're on a bus, if you're driving your car, please do not stand. But otherwise, if you can stand, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Here comes our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everybody. And I'll go back here. Let's see what we got. There's my dear Mary Alice. Thank you for being so committed, Mary Alice. There you go with that. See everybody come across. Well, listen, marching orders. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine, very talented woman in Florida. And she was describing to me that some great conservatives went to an event. Again, I'm sorry if the screen is a little bit low. There you go. Went to an event in Florida. And at the event, there was all kinds of people, and they all got there. They spent a lot of money and time to get there. And they got there, and they said, okay, what are we going to do? And no one told them what to do. Now, I have to tell you, I have another great friend who watches these Periscopes and or not Periscope now, these videos. It used to be only on Periscope, and she says to me, Ed, it doesn't matter if you give great ideas and have great conversation, you build community, if you don't get to the point where you tell people what it is that we all need to do. You know, what is it we need to do? So there is an epidemic right now of uncertainty about what to do. That's actually happening. I think that's a real problem, a real issue. So first, let's acknowledge it. Lots of folks are not sure what to do. They're uncertain. They're concerned. Let me see. Did I get this right? Yeah, they're uncertain. They're concerned, but they don't know what to do. And organizations are sitting around and they're saying, for example, pro-life organizations. Oh boy, we've made huge progress. When we got the Supreme Court's got conservatives on it. When will we reverse Roe v. Wade? We've worked for years and years for that. Well, by the way, every day Joe Biden is changing the rules. He's using telemedicine right now. Did you know this? President Biden is making it with telemedicine. You're able to do telemedicine, and doctors are able to counsel about abortion. So you don't have to go to the clinic anymore. You can counsel about abortion and even prescribe abortifacients through telemedicine. So it's a brave new world where, a vulnerable woman could get on a video like this. A doctor could say, you must be pregnant. Okay, you got the blood work. Good. Here's a prescription. Pick it up and you can have a chemical abortion. Think about this. I mean, this is a wild times. But my point is, a lot of the groups, pro-life groups, are like, hey, we fought so hard for judges. We fought so hard for this and that. Where do we go now? What do we go next? We need a vision. So I want to tell you something. You and I have to demand more from our people, from our organizations, from ourselves, in my case, these kinds of marching orders. And here's the thing about a marching order. Let's say I tell you what I'm about to tell you in terms of what we need to do. And you say, I don't really want to do that. What it takes in a leader, and you're a leader and I'm a leader, is confidence to hear people say no. So you say, hey, here's my marching order. Here's the thing I want to tell you about. And by the way, I'm actually doing this. The number one thing you should care about right now is election integrity. And the number one thing you should be doing is looking for your local community in your state, most likely your state legislature. Texas is in a battle right now. Georgia did this last month. And also your local county. Your county clerk has power. You could be your county board of election commissioners have power. There's power to be utilized to get now two things: transparency and reform. So the marching order here is the thing I want you to care about right now is election integrity. Yesterday, Rasmussen released a poll. Rasmussen's a pretty reliable pollster. Most people in terms of pollsters who I dislike all pollsters actually, but Rasmussen's sort of the most I'd say, effective and not politically biased in general. Yes, 2 days ago, 5 of the major Democrat polling companies basically released a statement basically saying, sorry, we were wrong about all our polls. We were just running them wrong. They were totally wrong. Biden wasn't up by 20. The Democrats weren't up by 20 in House and Senate races. But, as I told you, fake polling was being used to condition the voters back then. It was being used by media to say Biden's going to win. And after a while, people want to be with winners. We can go back to that. But here's my point. Rasmussen yesterday, the poll says this: 30% of all Democrats and 74% of all Republicans polled believe that the 2020 election included cheating that may have impacted the election. 74% of Republicans, that's a number that seems okay. I wonder where the other 26% are. What do they think? But that's a big number, right? That 74% is way past half. It's a big, big number. 30% of all Democrats, a third of Democrats who won the election, the presidential, a third of the Democrats say 51% of all people polled believe that the election, that there was cheating that might have impacted the election. So we have a voter confidence problem. So you should not get trapped by people that say, but there's been no fraud that has been found in courts. That doesn't matter, because elections are about the system has to have integrity and voter confidence has to be high. Because if you don't have voter confidence and you have whatever system, it doesn't matter. If you get 14% voting, which is what happened in St. Louis County, I think it was, or St. Louis City in this election 3 days ago or 5 days ago, that's not a system that has us netted together. I'm not saying we have to get 100%, but you want 50%, 60% of the people voting. And so you don't have to argue with your neighbors, with your friends, with anyone else. In fact, when they say the reason we have a problem with voter confidence is Donald Trump's fault, you can say maybe that was part of it, but that's not why Democrats have a lack of voter confidence. That's not why all Republicans. There's plenty of other reasons: lack of transparency, the media coverage, the UPenn Wharton study from 2016 that described that there's no reason to be sure that election systems on the computer, the computer-based ones, are totally safe. There was a Harvard study that said the same. So don't get into a debate about all the fraud, because it's still ongoing and there'll be other aspects that come out. But just say, look, where there's not enough voter confidence, don't we want to increase confidence? Where there's not enough people who believe the system works, don't we want to make the system work? One of the ways to make the system work is more transparency, more accountability. Don't we all want that? Now, truly, the left doesn't care. As someone pointed out so clearly, when you talk about photo ID, the left says that it's a photo ID is problem for low-income people. And everyone else in the country says, really? Let's help them get a photo ID. No one should be without a photo ID. In Missouri, in the 2006 or 7 year period, there was a bill passed that said everyone can get a photo ID, including money for these portable photo ID stations that would drive around the state of Missouri. And anytime someone had a community, you could say, this day there'll be free photo IDs, totally free. And the Democrats, the left, fought it. The Supreme Court of Missouri struck it down. If there's really people that don't have a photo ID, let's fix that. And you know what? If people like Joe Biden don't believe that low-income Americans, especially people of color, can get a photo ID and should have one, then he's a racist. I'd say that right there. He's a bigot. He's a bigot to think that they can't get a photo ID. Let's get him a photo ID. Anyway, my point is, here's your marching order. The number one thing is right now, it's not fighting over Biden's silliness. It's not fighting over critical race theory. It's not even fighting transgender sports, although I don't like any of these things. It's demanding election integrity, and the frame is voter confidence. However we got here, we have a problem of voter confidence. And however we got here, we have to address that. And the argument against addressing that is sort of un-American. It's easy. You're on the sort of moral high ground. So that's one thing. And the second thing about this marching orders, my friend Teresa's point is, we need more of them. And we need the organizations and the leaders to be willing. Again, back to this. Leadership means saying, let's do this. And some people are going to say, I don't want to do that. You have to be willing to to lose some of your people to go the direction you know you need to do. Because if you're just sitting in, this is a little bit of my tip from the Tea Party. Back in the day, the Tea Party was the opposition movement. But after you're done opposing, you better have a vision for where to go. And I think the Tea Party sort of split and fragmented in ways that were a little bit challenging and led to some of that being dissipated by, actually, it was there's a fight over there amongst the dogs. There was the Tea Party dissipated because of the fragmenting and all the things that were happening in the different ways. And I started to say, once we won in 2010, the Republicans won the House, you thought, okay, there's our leadership, and it sort of stalled. But so that's marching orders, voter integrity, and getting your voice heard, and figuring out a way to make your voice heard to state legislatures, local election officials, and just talk about the right issue with the right frame, right? Phyllis Schlafly, my old boss, used to say, being able to pick how you argue and on what terms you argue can set whether you win or lose. And so the winning argument here is not to try to be the one who solves all the fraud problems. If there's fraud, you should point to them. But the bigger one is to say, hey, as to integrity, as to election integrity, voter confidence matters, and we better address that. So that's my tip for today, and you'll be hearing more about that. It's an issue that we care about in our Phyllis Schlafly Eagles and a lot that's happening. So we'll talk again soon. Please don't forget, visit the website, proamericareport.com, sign up there, and also follow me on Twitter and Facebook.